Hey guys, Corey Allen here, the Overton Report. Listen, just a little bit ago, I had the honor of sitting down with Clay Clark and talking to him about a very important subject that's going to become increasingly more common to see in the news, the growth of BRICS. Now that's BRICS, a new world reserve currency that Putin and other nations are working on. Now, BRICS, B-R-I-C-S, that stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. So there are other countries that are attempting to join in with BRICS. They're trying to create a currency, kind of like the euro is a currency that encompasses all of Europe. So every time there's a change in world reserve currency, it either precludes or follows a time of great turmoil. It's actually quite a frightening thing. I really think you're going to enjoy this conversation. And, you know, Clay, he's very knowledgeable on this subject. We're going to put some links in the description, and you'll see them flash across the screen. And I really hope you enjoy watching this discussion as much as I enjoyed having it. So let me talk to you about this BRICS thing.
Bro.
Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. Now it's interesting. So for those out there who aren't too aware of this, BRICS is basically a new attempt at replacing the American dollar, which is, of course, we know based on nothing now, unfortunately.
Right.
It's a new attempt at taking over the American dollar as the world reserve currency. That has been, I think, pushed into high gear over the past 2 years, especially after COVID. I think they used that as an excuse or, as a jumping off point to really put it into high gear. Now, what do you think that poses a legitimate threat to the American dollar?
Yes.
Okay, you do.
Now, let me pull this
let's
up.
talk about it.
If I can share the screen for a second. Can I do that? Can I share?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, so here we go. So I'll just break this down for you. So, and I'll do a lot of examples here. So in 1971, okay, so in 1971, America moved off of the gold standard per the recommendation of Henry Kissinger.
Henry Kissinger, that's right.
America moved off the gold standard. So again, Richard Nixon, he decided to take President Richard Nixon took us off the gold standard per the recommendation of Henry Kissinger. For anybody out there that doesn't know who Henry Kissinger is, he was a top advisor. There he is, Henry Kissinger. All right, there's Richard Nixon, Henry Kissinger. So then Henry Kissinger told Richard Nixon, he says, we need to get off the gold standard in 1971. Also in 1971, Richard Nixon told a guy by the name of Klaus Schwab that they needed to start the World Economic Forum. So there's Henry Kissinger, there's Klaus Schwab, there's Henry Kissinger, there's Klaus Schwab. Okay, so what happened is in 1971, America got off the gold standard. And in 1971, Klaus Schwab started the World Economic Forum. They launched a 50-year plan, they being Klaus Schwab, Henry Kissinger, and their ilk, called the Great Reset. This plan began 50 years ago. Now, in 1974, America launched this thing called the petrodollar because in 1971, we got off the gold standard. Well, we needed to find a way to have some sort of value to our currency. So Henry Kissinger invented this thing called the petrodollar. And the petrodollar, it's insane, but this is how the process works. We're saying, our dollar is backed by nothing. However, if Saudi Arabia will commit to exporting their oil to countries that we like at a price we like, and they will sell their oil in exchange for dollars that we like, we then will provide them with military protection. All right. So this worked for a long time. Now, many news outlets have reported this. WION, which is out of India, reported this. But so Saudi Arabia, they decided that they are going to move off of the petrodollar. Here we go. And this happened while we were doing the ReAwaken America Tour in Pennsylvania. So we're doing the ReAwaken America Tour in Pennsylvania. And the Saudi Arabia
2021, is that right? 2021?
This would be 4 weeks ago.
Oh, gee.
4 weeks ago.
Louise.
Battle that the West is fighting, a battle of narrative, a battle to win new allies, only that it is failing miserably at this. Forget new allies. Even old friends of the West are ditching it, like Saudi Arabia. First, it refused to ramp up oil production for the European Union. And now it wants to be a part of BRICS, a bloc of 5 major emerging economies, including China and Russia. The president of South Africa says Riyadh is interested in joining this bloc. Why? Our next report telling you.
This is Cyril Ramaphosa, the president of South Africa. On Sunday,
so Saudi Arabia decided to move us to move off of the West's petrodollar and to move into BRICS. Now, I want to be very clear so we can see this. This guy right here, this is Augustin Carstens. Right. He is the head of the Bank of International Settlements. Okay. And in 2017, the Bank of International Settlements, which is like the central bank of banks, they declared that gold would be a tier 1 asset at the same level as the US dollar. So for the first time since World War II, something had the same value as the US dollar, and that's called gold. And since that time, the BRICS nations have been hoarding the Earth's gold.
Before you play that, let me just touch base on this. So we have Saudi Arabia attempting to join BRICS. Now, BRICS right now at this current moment in time is 40% of the world population, 31.5% of the GDP. By 2030, the International Monetary Fund says that they will be 50% of the world's GDP, half. That makes BRICS just undeniable. Now, we have all of these BRICS nations, which I think you're about to show us, have been purchasing gold at unbelievable levels. Anybody that follows me knows I always keep gold in my wallet. My entire back display is silver and gold. Metals are really a thing that I love. It's my biggest hobby. But at the same time that China, for example, is buying 160 tons of gold in 2022, the United States is selling 136 million tons. We have ridiculous amounts of the West all selling off their gold, and China and all the BRICS nations, India, Turkey, and also, Turkey has also applied to become a BRICS nation. They're purchasing gold because they want to base their new BRICS currency off of something real. And America and the West, well, they're trying to base their money off of what? What are they basing their money off of?
It's just fiat currency. And to pile on to what you're saying, you mentioned here about the gold purchases. This right here would be a website called gold.org where they track the quarterly purchasing of gold. The Global Central Bank purchased 400 tons of gold in Q3. This is meanwhile, while the mainstream media is calling people that buy and sell gold conspiracy theorists. Again, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, that's 41% of the Earth's population. Now, you add in, though, the fact that you have nations are joining BRICS. So you have new nations are wanting to join BRICS. So let me just give an example. Okay, so Newsweek, they just reported that you're having, and this is all like brand new stuff here. This is all new stuff. This is October the 7th here. They're reporting that many countries are looking to join BRICS. You now have Iran, you have Turkey, you have Saudi Arabia, you have almost a dozen new countries are wanting to join BRICS right now. And meanwhile, BRICS is looking to roll out its own new gold-backed currency.
That's the scary part, right? Like that is the death knell of the US dollar, isn't it?
It is. And then this guy here, the guy who upgraded gold to be a tier 1 asset, this is the head of the Bank of International Settlements. Okay, now listen to this. In 2017, the Bank of International Settlements upgraded gold to be a tier 1 asset equal to that of the dollar. Listen to what he says. It is so crazy.
Yeah.
We tend to establish the equivalence with cash, and there is a huge difference there. For example, in cash, we don't know, for example, who's using a $100 bill today. We don't know who is using a 1,000 peso bill today. A key difference with the CBDC is that central bank will have absolute control on the rules and regulations that will determine the use of that expression of central bank liability. And also we will have the technology to enforce that. Those two issues are extremely important, and that makes a huge difference with respect to what cash is.
Okay, so now that's happening. Now, while that is happening, I want people to understand this. Why that while this is happening, and again, if you go to rumble.com, folks, and you search for BRICS, we try to put out some really breaking news, update news you need to know. Okay, so the BRICS Bank. I want everyone to look this up. We're going to go to type into rumble.com. We're typing BRICS Bank. Okay, so the BRICS Bank. Remember that, folks. The BRICS Bank.
And we will link Thrive Time Show also in the descriptions of everything here. So
yeah, and I would just say the best site to go to for my citations would be time2freeamerica.com and then the Thrive Time Show channel on Rumble. Now this right here, this is the president of the BRICS Bank based in Shanghai, China. Listen to what he said out loud. This is the president of the BRICS Bank. He did not say this years ago. He said this on November 5th of this year when asked about what is the importance of the BRICS Bank. He said the following.
So BRICS started out as a concept for how the future of the global economy would look like, but now it has evolved to really a tool that promotes global governance. It has been also a grouping that come up with institution of its own, like the new development bank. Oh, it's really pleasure to work and live in Shanghai. It's one of the most dynamic cities of the world. And the headquarters of NDB being in Shanghai really constitute a symbol, not only for the city, and this is something that I always like to say, when you think of Geneva.
They're clearly based in China. He just said the bank's being rolled out to implement global governance. Now, Glenn Beck, who, by the way, I think Glenn Beck's been doing a good job on uncovering this. On Glenn Beck, again, this is Glenn Beck, talk show radio host. He's been talking about this for a while. Listen to what he said again, just validating what you said earlier.
That to China.
Here we go.
I saw a disturbing story from Bloomberg last week, and I haven't mentioned it because I wanted to make sure I had some facts on it. I called Carol Roth. I called everybody I know, and they were like, "God, that doesn't seem well. I don't know. Let me look into it." Carol is here to explain this. Here's what I found in Bloomberg. Asia has net imported gold from the West since April. The trade flow into China, 160 tons of gold. Into India, 80 tons. Into Turkey, 62. Thailand, 38 tons. Saudi Arabia, 20 tons. Malaysia, 4 tons. Hong Kong, 3 tons. Where do they get all this gold? Well, the UK sold 15 tons of gold from their treasury. 32 tons, South Africa. Canada, 33, Australia, 34 tons, and the United States of America sold 136 tons of gold. Did we send that to China? Why are we selling gold when smart money would be buying gold?
Okay, and then finally, I want to show some people. This is big. This is big stuff here, folks. Okay, so now we kind of get a picture of Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. We kind of start to understand what is being said here. Okay, now this just happened. Okay, and Reuters reported this. Other major outlets reported this. Okay, so the federal government, the feds, are rolling out the biggest banks in America are rolling out their central bank digital currencies. They're rolling it out right now. They're testing it out right now. It's a 12-week pilot program. This is currency you can turn on or off based upon the whims of whoever's hitting the on or off switch.
Who told you this? Who told you this? Citigroup Inc., HSBC Holdings, MasterCard, and Wells Fargo are among now the financial companies that, as of yesterday, are participating in the experiment, along with the New York Fed's Innovation Center, the project called the Regulated Liability Network is conducting in a test environment to roll out a digital dollar. This is a pilot program. We told you this was coming how many years ago? Everyone denied it. Every single member of the press has been denying this. They've been saying it's a conspiracy theory, all of this. We told you years ago that this was coming. Now they started, as of yesterday, their 12-week digital dollar pilot. What does that mean? Don't go to MSNBC because they're not going to tell you. Don't go to anybody. You can go to our archives at the Blaze TV and find out exactly what that.
Now look at this. Again, I'm just walking you through this. And again, these are all things people need to know this. Okay. So this is Joe Rogan discussing this. Okay.
Yeah.
This is again, a lot of people are hearing this for the first time. Just listen to this, folks. Here we go.
Of money, a bit bank digital.
So here, I pulled up.
Here we go.
Around the world. They have to.
By the way, this guy's on top of it too. He's called Watchman on the Wall 88. Great channel on YouTube. Watchman on the Wall 88.
They have to collapse in order for this new one to come forth.
Here we go.
Do you feel like you're sounding the alarm
Yes.
for people that don't understand what the f is going on?
So here, I pulled it up for you here. Yeah. So there's the video.
Yeah.
I don't know if your camera can see that, but
No.
there's the video. There's him speaking about it.
The G7 is launching a set of public policy principles for retail central bank digital currencies, CBDCs. Central bank digital currencies could be a digital version of money, a bit like a digital banknote that could be used alongside physical notes and coins. Unlike most of the digital money people use daily today, it would be issued directly by a central bank, like the Bank of England in the UK.
Right. So that's the guy who runs our economy in the UK. His name's the Chancellor of the Exchequer. And here is the article. Bank of England tells ministers to intervene on digital currency programming. Yeah. And here's a quote from the article. This is in the Telegraph, the one he pulled up, but it was behind a paywall. So I'll just read the quote. Digital cash could be programmed to ensure it is only spent on essentials or goods which an employer or government deems to be sensible.
Holy sh!
I'm going to take it one step further for you, Joe, right? So the vaccine passport infrastructure is in place. But now we know that the vaccine doesn't stop infection or transmission, but the checkpoint Charlie exists everywhere. They bring in digital banking, central banking digital currencies. You've got a scenario now that you're checking in and out everywhere you go using vouchers that are programmed and you can only spend where you're told you can spend them. There's another word for that, man. That's called the Chinese social credit system. That's what it's called. And anyone who watches Black Mirror will know what I'm talking about. That TV show, right?
Yeah.
So what they are telling us, and when I say they, who's they? People in power. That's the head of our economy, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, second most powerful person other than the Prime Minister and maybe the Foreign Secretary in the UK, right? He's telling us, I just played it there for you. He's telling us that's what he, as the UK, the head of the G7, want to bring in for the G7. So a scenario where, like in New York at the moment.
So you're seeing this, they're saying this now, and then they're going to the G20. Okay, the G20.
That's
now,
right.
Very clear. You have the G20 Leaders Summit, and I want to be very clear. If you go to timetofreeamerica.com/revelation, I want everyone to see this time to freeamerica.com/revelation, and you go here, you can see all the patents. Okay, so I'm just going to look here for we'll look for the patent for 5G. Okay, right here. So Charles Lieber, this is a disgraced Harvard scientist who made $50,000 a month to create this technology for the Chinese. He created technologies where you can introduce nanotechnology inside into a human, and it can be inserted via a syringe.
Yes, I've seen that. Yeah.
So now this works. So watch this. This is like if you leave your restricted zone and you have a shot inside your body, it can verify where you're going at all times because there's RNA modifying nanotechnology inside your body.
Yes.
So let's have a digital health certificate acknowledged by WHO. If you have been vaccinated or tested properly, then you can move around. So for the next pandemic, instead of stopping the movement of the people 100%, which clog the economy globally, you can still provide some movement of the people. Indonesia has achieved, G20 country has agreed to have this digital certificate using WHO standard, and we will submit into the next World Health Assembly in Geneva as the revision to international health regulation. So hopefully for the next pandemic, we can still see some movement of the people, some movement of the goods, and movement of the economy.
As long as you're doing what you're told, right? So this is like fourth industrial revolution type stuff, Klaus Schwab. This is they're saying that they're going to, or their end goal is to turn cash into a trackable form of purchasing goods, being paid for services, paying for services and goods, etc., so that nothing that you do is done without being tracked by some central force. What's the central? Okay, One, what's the central force?
Satan.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what can the average person do to, at the very least, obviously there's nothing that we can do to stop what is already set in stone.
Right.
What can we do to at least fight back, delay,
well, let's do this.
not take the mark, right?
Yeah.
What do we do?
Well, let me play one final clip because I want people to just understand. They're saying this is Yuval Noah Harari. Yuval Noah Harari.
Yes.
Yuval Noah Harari. He's a top advisor for Klaus Schwab. He's praised by Obama, Zuckerberg, and Gates. He's praised by Obama, Zuckerberg, and Gates. He's praised by MIT, Stanford, and Harvard. He has sold allegedly 40 million copies of his books in the past 60 months. Listen to this.
No, I think maybe in a couple of decades, when people look back, the thing they will remember from the COVID crisis is this is the moment when everything went digital. And if this was the moment when everything became monitored, that we agreed to be surveyed all the time, not just in authoritarian regimes, but even in democracies. And maybe most importantly at all, this was the moment when surveillance started going under the skin. Because really we haven't seen anything yet. I think the big process that's happening right now in the world is hacking human beings, the ability to hack humans, to understand deeply what's happening within you, what makes you go. And for that, the most important data is not what you read and who you meet and what you buy, it's what's happening inside your body. So we had these two big revolutions, the computer science revolution or the infotech revolution, and the revolution in the biological sciences. And they are still separate, but they are about to merge. They are merging around, I would say, the biometric sensor. It's the thing, it's the gadget, it's the technology that converts biological data into digital data that can be analyzed by computers. And having the ability to really monitor people under the skin, this is the biggest game changer of all. Because this is the key for getting to know people better than they know themselves. Wow. I often give the example from my own personal life that I realized I was gay only when I was 21. And I keep thinking about the time when I was 15, 16, how could I have missed it? You know, something so important about myself should have been obvious, but I didn't know. Now, today or in 5 or 10 years, any algorithm of Microsoft or Amazon or the government would be able to know such a thing when I'm 12 or 13, just by monitoring what's happening in my body, what's happening to my eyes.
This is the kind of mindset these people have. So you talk about what can you do? I'm going to give you a lot of homework here, folks.
Yes, please.
I'm going to go rapid fire. I'm going to try to give you 10 things you can do. Okay, so first thing, you can go to timetofreeamerica.com and you can click on the BRICS button and learn everything you need to know about BRICS. You can just know it right there. Boom, it's right there. BRICS button. You can know, click here, timetofreeamerica.com and learn everything you need to know about central bank digital currencies. Most importantly, you can learn everything that's going on from a biblical perspective, so you can understand what's happening, why the Euphrates River is drying up, why Microsoft has a patent W02020060606, how that ties into the book of Revelation. You can understand Matthew chapter 24, Luke chapter 21. You can see what is actually happening from a biblical perspective. So from an educational perspective, the BRICS button, the central bank digital currencies button, and the biblical timeline button. Now from a more of a beyond the educational in terms of like things you can do. If you're looking for a job that doesn't require the shots, you can go to timetofreeamerica.com and there's thousands of jobs listed there.
Really?
Require the shots. Now, if you're out there and you're an employer today, I would recommend you register for free as well. You register for free, boom, we'll post that job. And we help, dozens of people every day to find jobs that don't require the shots. They're all listed here. Gotcha. And you can find those at timetofreeamerica.com. Action item number 3 is if you're looking for a COVID-19 vaccine religious exemption from pastors that will actually sign it for you, that have been proven to be very effective in mid-sized companies, you can get those also at timetofreeamerica.com. 4, if you're going, I want to spend some money and not waste it. You can go to timetofreeamerica.com and request tickets to the ReAwaken America Tour in January. We're going to Pastor Greg Locke's church. When I say we, you have Eric Trump, Cash Patel, General Flynn, Peter Navarro, Jim Brewer, Mike Lindell. I mean, these are proven patriots. Mel Kay. You've got Mickey Willis. We've had Dr. Jane Ruby, Karen Kingston, Jim Caviezel. I mean, they're all there. It's 70 plus speakers, and you can name your price. So we want to make it affordable for everybody. And again, you can get those tickets at timetofreeamerica.com. If you say, hey, I want to know some more, you can download the documentary at timetofreeamerica.com for free called the ReAwaken America Tour versus the Great Reset. You can watch that documentary for free tonight. You can get that there. Also, you can download the book, The Great Reawakening versus the Great Reset, for free there. Now, on a practical level, in terms of like feeding yourself, I don't have a promo code or anything, but my Patriot Supply, I would recommend, because it's kind of hard to eat gold and silver, that you would recommend that I recommend that you have food available in the event of a supply chain collapse, which you can get at mypatriotsupply.com. I buy a lot of stuff from those guys. Like I said, I do not have a promo code for those guys, but mypatriotsupply.com. Also, if you're looking for organic, healthy food that lasts a long time, Dr. Sherwood has that available for you at sherwood.tv. He's a longtime friend of mine. He's a doctor based in Tulsa. That's sherwood.tv. And then on the purchasing of gold and silver, I buy my gold and silver. I used to buy my gold and silver from a company called Goldline, and I've never had a problem with Goldline. I'm not a sponsor of Goldline. I've had a good experience with Goldline. I actually buy now from a company called bh-pm.com, Beverly Hills Precious Metals. That's just because friends of mine who own banks were telling me, hey, this is who we buy from. And we've bought from Andrew Sorcini and his team for years. And I needed somebody that I could trust because I'm a consistent buyer. And I knew what was happening to the value of the dollar. And in 1971, the price of an ounce of gold in 1971 was $44 an ounce. Well, you go to 1991 and the price of an ounce of gold was hopping up there into $360 an ounce. When I started buying gold and silver, I was buying gold and silver for the first time, and I was really kind of getting serious about the acquisition of gold and silver. I was buying in at like $700 an ounce. Now we're at $1,800 an ounce. So I just encourage everybody, take action. Like, don't just acquire information, but take action. And I'm trying to give you a lot of resources during this half-hour broadcast. And I'm sorry if I have to speak quickly. I'm just trying to fit in hours or years of research into a 30-minute window.
I have one question. So just real quick before we're done, before our half hour's over. Now we conservatives were a little bit disappointed with what we saw nationally when it came to the red wave that didn't happen. We did take the House. We did fire Pelosi. So that's good from the speaker's position. And I just want to say in South Carolina, particularly, we did take a super majority of our state legislature. So I'm just wondering if there are any other places that you've seen where something like what has happened in South Carolina happened. We did take a super majority. I consider it a red wave in South Carolina. I know that the nationally, Congress, Senate, it didn't work out as well as we'd hoped. What's your thought on that? Where do you stand with everything?
I try to only go deep into topics where I can tell you with credibility and vetted research that I can speak intelligently. So if somebody wants to talk about what's inside the shots, the transhumanism agenda, central bank digital currencies, BRICS, I can go there. As it relates to election turnout, I don't know that I'm the best guy to discuss that with intelligence. I can tell you, I went out to vote, and I'm always the first person to vote in my area. I like to be out there at 6 a.m. The doors open, the polls open at 7. I like to get there at 6. And I can tell you, I was happy to see I was beat in line by I had almost a half dozen people in front of me. And within 10 minutes of my arrival, there was, dozens of people behind me. And it did appear to be a very Trump friendly crowd because they were wearing Trump gear, a lot of people in the line. So, I mean, I saw the enthusiasm for President Trump, but I beyond anecdotal, I can't really comment too intelligently at this point.
For sure. Hey, man, I really want to thank you for joining us. And I really appreciate you talking to me about BRICS and the global financial situation. I don't really get a chance to talk to people who are knowledgeable in that section. And I really do appreciate it. And man, I can't thank you enough for what you've done, what you do.
and we look forward to hopefully working with you
Yeah.
more in the
Hey,
future.
Corey,
man.
I wanted to say this to you. I have a workshop. It's an invite-only workshop coming up in December, and I believe JT on my team reached out to you. He can get you set up. General Flynn and I are hosting that for podcasters. It's at my office in Tulsa. Your open invitation. You can attend, no charge, no upsell, nothing. It's designed to help Patriot podcasters make some more connections, reach some people, grow the audience. Also, the ReAwaken America Tour itself, open invitation. If you want a media pass where you can set up a booth and interview a lot of the people, you can do that. And I appreciate you carving out time for me. Thank you very much.
Of course. And that's in Nashville, January, what's the date?
20th and 21st, January 20th and 21st.
That's right.
Locks Church.
Absolutely. And as you get more dates in other places, please let us know and we'll push it out for you.
All right. Hey, you take care, brother. I appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.
So yeah, as you can see, we barely scratched the surface, but there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on with this, and it would definitely behoove all of us to keep a very close eye on it. If you think things are shaking up right now, you ain't seen nothing yet. My name's Corey Allen. This is the Overton Report.